Generative AI, and in particular how it translates to conversational AI, holds incredible promise for financial services organizations. But like any disruptive technology, there are challenges to making it real. The challenges financial services organizations face in creating these solutions are supersized. Some of those include the incredible speed of change in AI models, ecosystem tools, applications, and processes. The AI learning curve for resources is steep, and organizations have limited expertise and experience in this area. There's the worry of ensuring the use of conversational AI is secure and protecting privacy of those that are using it. And then finally, navigating compliance is a big deal. In today's session, we're going to explore practical advice and best practices from Boost AI, which has been working to enable financial services organizations to succeed with conversational AI. We're going to look more closely at conversational AI challenges and that financial services organizations face and some of the best practices for solving those. I'm Mark Beckew. I'm Principal Analyst at Enterprise Strategy Group, and I lead our coverage of generative AI. I'm excited to be joined today by Rasmus Hawk from Boost AI. Hi, Rasmus. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hi, Mark. Hi. So thank you very much for taking me into this. So basically, I'm the CTO for boost.ai, and I basically work at the intersection of AI and security and large-scale enterprise deployments. So I have around 25 years in the IT industry and have been working throughout the years with AI, even before LLMs and generative. And also I'm leading the engineering teams consisting of machine learning specialists, AI engineers, security professionals, and product managers. So my focus is really simple, right? It is to make conversational AI safe for regulated industries, to turn compliance from a blogger into design principles, and basically build automation that people can trust, internally as well as externally. So basically, we support some of the most demanding banks and insurers in Europe and in the US, and I'm here to share today what actually works.
Well, that's great. And you're one of those people we just talked about that are rare out there. You've got some experience and expertise in AI. So let's do this. We're going to start with a look, the state of the market. We had some recent research study. I shared this with Rasmus, so I'll share it with you all today and say, it was called Evaluating the Pillars of Responsible AI. And we have specific data for financial services sector for that. So here are a few interesting insights, how financial services organizations are thinking about responsible AI that are relevant to what Rasmus and I are going to talk about today. First, 72% said relative to all their AI initiatives, responsible AI is either the most important priority or one of their top priorities. Only 17% said that they have robust and well-defined responsible AI practices integrated throughout their operations. 56% and said they agree that implementing responsible AI practices has delayed their AI progress and impacted their market position. And then finally, 30% say they have to completely scrap projects based on an inability to effectively account for certain aspects of responsible AI. So you can see it's a big deal. So let's dive in. My first question, Rasmus, is this. Tell us, you said a little bit about this, but tell us about the products and services that Boost AI bring to the table for financial services in regulated industries.
Thank you very much, Mark. I think, first and foremost, I think Boost offers a no-code platform for building and maintaining AI agents and conversational AI that serves millions of conversations in banking and insurance each day. And the platform is basically built from the ground up to meet regulatory expectations. So, for example, we have things like full audit trails, intent versioning, PI masking, and anonymization guardrails and encryption, and all of this while still integrating into generative AI, LLMs, and AI models. And basically, we integrate that with hundreds of different core backend services and CRM systems and ERP systems to deliver that sort of end-to-end automation. Because for us, it's not just about a conversation where you ask about something and then you get some knowledge. It's also a conversation where you can actually do something, you can have an action, You can transfer money from point A to point B. You can execute a claims process in an insurance company, stuff like that, right? So it's really all about the actions, and also it enables voice. We enable voice conversation. So, for example, we can conduct payments through voice. We can do multilingual voice. We can do voice analytics, and we operate at scale in production with some of the largest banks in the Nordics and in Europe and in the US. And finally, we also launching and have launched testing tools, voice testing tools for conducting, safe testing of voice conversations before they actually happen live in production. So in short, I mean, we deliver enterprise-grade conversational AI purpose-built for compliance, security, and automation at scale in financial services.
Yeah, that's it's so important in that industry, and I'm sure you agree that we're able to automate things through voice, right? So it makes so much sense that that's how people contact these really critical things that they're so concerned about. Their financial services organizations, they want to talk, right? And so it always makes sense that there's progress in that area.
Definitely.
So let's start with this. So you've told us a little about Boost. What are in your opinion, the key AI governance trends in regulated industries that are impacting you?
Yeah.
Your customers.
So first of all, I think there's been a trend change, right? I think like a couple of years ago, a lot of companies out there were sort of looking at AI as a project that they needed to implement in some way or form. So it's kind of moved now from being a side project into a part of the core infrastructure, really. So from a financial perspective, it goes from a CAPEX solution, so it's capital expenditure, into OPEX, right? So it's operational, and it's more an embedded part of the company. And we see that across, all different sectors, right? So I think there's definitely a shift happening, and also that there's a clear demand for that these solutions and products are actually, delivering value to the company. I think that's also a very important aspect, obviously. And finally, there's a clear demand for explainability, auditability, testing, and alignment with internal control frameworks. So I think, and that's things like data retention policies, audit logs, model lifecycle management. So a lot of these aspects are something that we see are a key governance trends, right? And also, I would say that increasingly regulators expect the companies out there to understand not just what they say, what the AI says, but also how it reads to that output. And especially when actions are made to deliver a hybrid experience, then that these certain elements in a discussion are not delivered by LLMs. So, for example, I give you an example of that is that you're conducting a transaction, right? So you're saying, hey, I want to transfer money from point A to point B. And then, you might have an LLM interpret that and come up with a solution for you or a proposal for a transaction. But you don't want that transaction, that final acceptance by the customer to be generated by the LLM, because we all know that LLMs, even though they are getting better and better, they're still hallucinations and stuff like that, right? So that ability to sort of transition from an LLM-based conversation, a generative-based conversation, into a more rule-based conversation is a very important aspect when it comes to banking and insurance customers. So in short, governance has shifted from optional to essential, and regulators now expect full transparency, auditability, and human oversight.
So let's go there a little bit further. So you talked about expectations. You also said this has been going on for a couple of years and it shifted. So how have AI governance expectations changed in terms of what the internal stakeholders expect?
Yeah, so I think one important aspect of this is that this has come, the use of AI in general has become a subject, not just within the C-suite, but also on the board level, right? And we see that both, major decisions in AI for different organizations becomes a decision point for the boards and various AI compliance teams. So there's definitely a growing need for tooling that supports internal reviews, testing, versioning, traceability of conversational models and actions. And we also see to an increasing degree that customers are setting up these AI review boards or AI governance boards that sort of reviews AI projects when they come in the door. A little bit like a change advisory board for rating the internal projects. So in short, I mean, AI is no longer just a tech project. It involves legal, it involves sale, marketing, and it's under the microscope from these different teams in terms of security, compliance, and legal and risk, and the board as well. So it's definitely a growing sort of interest from an organizational level.
So Boost AI uses this term, responsible automation. What is responsible automation and why is it so important?
Yeah, so I think responsible automation for us is really about maximizing the value of AI without creating new risks, right? So, and when we say that, we mean it. We mean when you roll out responsible automation for customers or internally, if you're not careful about it, there is a specific risk of a brand reputation, a compliance risks, and so on. And for us, this really means that only automate when the quality is provable, building with human fallback and making sure that every response is explainable. And in those key areas, to be able to deliver non-LLM based responses in certain areas. And we don't think of automation as a replacement, but as an augmentation, supporting the employees and freeing up capacity as well. So in short, responsible automation means delivering value without compromising trust, safety, and control.
Okay. Preparing for this, you and I, we talked about some of the misconceptions and the concerns, right? We talked about that. There were three in particular. So let's take a look at those. Number one, here's my question. There is a market misconception that conversational AI isn't secure enough for financial services. Is that true? And how does Boost AI approach security in that regard?
Well, I would say, I mean, conversational AI is definitely secure if you build it correctly, right? So that's a challenge. And I think Boost uses, a lot of different functionalities and features to ensure that we are in fact secure, right? There's things like encryption, tenant isolation, and secure deployments. Also, deployments in different areas and regions. And also that every data flow is locked. I think in an important area, and also that that is not just a conversation, but also what's going on behind the scenes that's happening, which is especially important for AI agents and similar areas. And finally, in terms of compliance and security, ISO 27001, 701, SOC 2, etc., etc. All of these are important elements. But then also on top of that, we offer like more fine-grained content review functions for sensitive domains like KYC or fraud prevention or other areas like that where there's a particular need for certain kinds of functionalities. So the short answer there is, is it secure? Yes, if it's built with the right architecture, controls, and also guide rails from day one. And that immediately asks the question, would you trust your wallets to an AI agent? Which I think is an important question when it comes to a bank or an insurance company implementing a solution, and also for the end customers as well.
So let's go a little deeper on security. So Boost AI talks about how you as a company make LLM-powered conversational AI safe. Can you give us a brief explanation of what you meant by that?
Yeah, so first of all, I would say again, we know that LLMs and generative are prone to mistakes, hallucinations, and also just bad quality responses, right? So first of all, we never allow direct generative output to reach the customer without any validation or context and anchoring. And one of those functionalities that we use are secure guardrails or which include things like, being able to apply guardrails both to the input and output, and also being able to have intent-based routing to isolate tasks from hallucinations, named entity recognition and reductions in the conversations, and also to be able to apply prompt engineering with deterministic fallbacks. So really ensuring using these different kinds of guardrails that are actually operating in a parallel environment. So they're all the time monitoring the conversation while the main conversation between the customer and AI agent is happening, and then interjecting if something goes wrong. And that also means that it's very different, or it's not possible to disrupt or jailbreak the guardrail itself. And finally, I think a final element here, especially in terms of quality of the conversation, is our ability to conduct these automated testings of the conversation before they're actually happening with a customer. So you can do like persona-based testing. So you can say, well, I'm a 70-year-old lady. I'm trying to get a discount on my payments, on my mortgage, and then generating, 1,000 different conversations based on that persona. And then you can sort of figure out, well, do I get the right quality? Does the AI agent actually enables you to get a discount? And is that even allowed? So all of these things you can sort of go in and test. And when it comes to these very specific things, I mean, we don't think about it in a normal sense when you're just using LLMs, in a normal setting. But when it's applied to a customer, to a brand relationship, that these things becomes enormously important. So short, I mean, we isolate LLM output behind intent-based routing, audit filtered and deterministic fallbacks to eliminate hallucination risks and other kinds of risks from happening, basically.
Yeah, Erasmus, that really tracks with our research for organizations that we do across the globe around a best practice for LLMs, and it's a human in the loop. So that human in the loop piece really gives you, and there's sophisticated levels. I think this, where there's all different ways to insert that, but really important to keeping it safe, and that makes sense that you guys are doing that. So, all right. There seems to be some concern about conversational AI displacing jobs, right? In particularly in this sector. So can you talk about your view? How does Boost AI approach this differently?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting discussion, and actually, because I don't think conversational AI will displace or will replace jobs, at least not in the way most people fear. But we do see that there's a shift happening, right? So AI handles routine tasks, and it frees up human agents for basically higher value conversations. So that's number one, right? That you can free up the more day-to-day tasks from a customer support perspective, and spend time with the more difficult ones and higher value conversations. So an aspect of that is the ability for you to apply guardrails for what we call high-risk customers, where, for example, they're calling in and then they're saying, "Hey, I'm getting a divorce. I am, I don't have any money. And in that case, some of these guardrails can then kick in, and then you can convert that into a normal human-to-human conversation. So that's one example where you can sort of direct higher value conversations into a human-to-human flow, or like for vulnerable customers. And but when you look at it from a organization perspective, then obviously we are able to relocate hundreds and thousands of hours per week to proactive outreach and advisory services instead. So there's the ability also to go more outreach or to upsell, and also to do advisory services to an even higher degree than before. So in short, I would say no. It transforms jobs by taking over repetitive tasks, and it frees up people to focus on what matters instead. Right? I think another interesting question that brings up is, as an organization, how do you need to reorganize yourself to fit with that new reality, right? And I think that task from a leadership perspective is a much more important question, in fact. Like, how do I reorganize my organization to fit when these new AI tools comes in the door, right?
Yeah, that there's again in our research and talking about AI is the idea that one thing it has trouble with is emotional intelligence, right? So what you're talking about there tends to be if there are issues, then humans are taking care of these. They have obviously the highest emotional intelligence. There's no doubt. So you're putting humans back into where they're most needed, and that makes sense from what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's another concern.
Yeah.
Not really a misconception. Is skepticism about the value of using conversational AI in these regulated industries. How does Boost AI answer the skeptics in this regard?
Yeah. I think definitely the ROI for this is proven, right? There's no question about it. It does offer a tremendous value. We help customers to reduce call center volume by up to 80% while still increasing customer satisfaction. So there's no doubt that this is delivering value, right? And I would say that overall our customers use AI, on an average to reduce average handling time, to improve first contact resolution, to increase things like engagement from customers. One thing we see, which is quite interesting, is that once a customer sees that they're talking to an LLM, then they start to explore, right? Then they start to say, "Hey, can you tell me this as a poem or something else like that," right? Because they see that, okay, I'm getting an LLM response, and that's very interesting because it sort of connects to our human minds and our creativity, right? And I sometimes tell our customers, well, you could start to build in, for example, an Easter egg or something funny as well in the conversational dialogues, because that sort of engages customers even more. And at the same time, maybe enables even better upsell opportunities or something like that. So basically, there's definitely value in it, and I would say that. One example is a bank that used to automate or used our solution to automate over 100,000 data requests, fully auditable with zero regulatory issues, right? So I think the ROI is real. There's faster service, lower cost, and high compliance, and backed by production results in leading banks.
Yeah, there's another thought here as far as value from what as a consumer, and again through research we've seen, one of the values is 24/7, right? So when you automate, and now as consumers or users want to engage with these financial services organizations, it's not 9 to 5, right? It's anytime. So I think that really adds value. I know as from my perspective, that makes perfect sense. I'd much rather do this on my time, not on the company, the financial services company's time when they have somebody there.
Yeah.
So that's,
yeah. And there's also a generational thing. I think for when we see, you and I, we are at least above 40s, right? And I think if you look at the younger generation, there's multiple studies that shows that they actually prefer the AI agent over humans, right? For simple. So if they're just wanting to, reset their password or make a transaction or something like that, they'd rather use the digital tools and talk to a human on it. So I think there's also a generational gap that these kinds of solutions actually covers as well.
There's another side to that. I heard one story once. There was a bank, RBC.
Yep.
I heard this story a while back, and they were doing these regulated, they had a conversational agent that they were testing, and they said what was great is these older folks would call in to find out their balance or something, kind of very straightforward stuff.
Yeah.
And that the older folks enjoyed it because they got to talk to somebody. So it was kind of those benefits that like, and the folks at RBC were like, yeah, that's fine. That's great because they're
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
this kind.
And I think that's a challenge because for some of these solutions, then there's an inherent costs for conversation, right? For the bank and the insurance companies out there. What we say is let's gather it around a conversation, and let's not go or spend so much time on how many minutes you've been on or stuff like that, right? So for me, it's not bad that a customer spend 10 minutes rather than 2 minutes, right? Because that just shows that there's more engagement and there's additional sales opportunities, right?
Yeah, it's a different measurement, right? You're not worried about the person so much. It's a scalable. It's more scalable than a person, so
Okay.
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, what do you think? So, you talked about a little bit about next generation things. That kind of leads us to this. So, what do you think is next for conversational AI in regulated industries? Where does it go from here?
Yeah, it's a good question, Mark. I think, I mean, first of all, if we see the use of generative AI and LLMs in general, there's roughly around 1 billion searches per day on things like ChatGPT and Google Gemini and all the other ones. And there's a roughly 8 billion searches on Google per day. And I think that number will change, right? So we'll see that more and more people will engage with a conversational interface rather than a web page, right? And I think that truly becomes, super valuable when you talk about, the interaction between an organization and a client. So imagine that you don't have to go into a company's website to do anything anymore. You just have a conversation where you say whatever you need to say. And I think that's really the next step for conversational AI in regulated industries is to have a fully immersive conversational AI experience as a customer, where everything is basically handled through the conversation itself. So I would say, but on a more macro level, I would say expansion from the front office into the middle and the back offices as well. So things like HR compliance, second level support, that with tremendous growth, and then also closer integration with real-time data and decision agents, combining AI with actual actions, right? So being able to expose the entire catalog of services that a bank or an insurance company has to the conversational interface, right? And then things like being a little bit more forward in terms of implementing AI agents. So it could be things like, not if you are interacting with an insurance company, maybe that insurance company has a partner which is a bank, or maybe that bank has another partner which is an insurance company. And if you say things like, hey, I want to buy this house, right? Well, then the first thing you need to do is probably, ensure that you have the money to pay for the house, but then you might also need a house insurance, right? So if you can connect those two things together, as well as with real estate agents and other partners that are maybe not a part of your core organization but are outside, I think that has tremendous value, right? So starting to sort of build up a partner network as an organization that you can connect with and interact with inside of this conversational AI interface, I think would be is definitely what we see next is moving. So to summarize, we are moving from answering questions into driving decisions safely, transparent, and at scale.
What it's ancillary to that, if we look forward, there's like some social science pieces to this, right? You're on the cutting edge of this, but when you think about how we're all having to learn as humans how to interact best with conversational AI agents, or like you said, it's like we're all becoming prompt engineers, right? So we're trying to figure out how to say this best. And I think that's going to be an interesting piece that you guys are right on the cutting edge of this, because so many regulated industries are really the ones pushing this forward. Makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Last question for you, Rasmus, before we walk away. What walk away advice would you give to financial service organizations considering conversational AI?
I would say, first of all, don't wait for the perfect AI moment, right? I would, start, smooth and easy and small, and then scale up. And then preferably start with a controlled use case where you can demonstrate actual value. So I think that's one of the first ones, right? Is to be able to roll out small and prove that you can demonstrate value. And then obviously focus on governance early, and choosing a platform that lets you test, audit, and control the output that is given to the customers. And then finally, I mean, AI is not a magic bullet, right? It is a team sport. So you have to invest in people, you have to invest in training and internal ownership from day one. So it's not just a click enable thing, that some customers might think. That there is I wouldn't say considerable work in it, but you need to understand what it is you're doing, right? So in summary, start small, scale fast, and choose a partner who knows what security and compliance actually means.
All right, Rasmus, great stuff from you today. Appreciate you sharing all those things with me and entertaining my questions. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Mark. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so I think we learned a lot about what Boost AI, how Boost AI is leading in this area and helping. To me, my takeaway was you've got a company that's thoughtful about how to use responsible AI within conversational AI, how to do these things moving forward for financial services organizations. So I think there's a lot of lessons to learn here today. If you would like to find out more detailed information about what we discussed, you can see on screen where to go. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you again, Rasmus, for all your time today.
Thank you very much, Mark.